He's got money. Do they want money here? He wants to join the community. It takes at least 2 years. One little slip here. Almost 2 years. It's around 2 years or maybe a little bit more than 2 years before you can become a full member. And if you want, we can go into how you become a full member. So what would you bring? You bring a scroll. You would buy the most important scroll to help your chances to get admitted. Because what you have will put in a common storehouse for 2 years, and when they will vote finally, you get your stuff back or you don't. So that's kind of hedging the bet. If it gets close, I've got some beautiful scrolls, they're mine, I'll go back. But if they accept me, they're the scrolls. So people would be coming from all over the Holy Land with scrolls, from Jerusalem, from the temple, Levites, you even have Pharisees. We think about near the end of Alexander Janneus' reign, 103 BCE to about 67. Remember, he crucified 800 Pharisees. Jew crucifying 800 Pharisees. So Pharisees are fleeing. Where would they flee? Well, some of them would go in a flying saucer. Not too likely. Others would flee somewhere. Would some flee here? Most likely, because we're getting phylacteries beginning about 60 BC that we think are related to Pharisaic ideas. Now this is all speculative, but it looks like Pharisees are now joining the community during the time of Alexander Janneus. Well, okay, so that covers a lot of the territory. The scrolls were brought here, some were copied here, and I will show you the scriptorium, and I'll try to make some points. When you are at Spear Library, go there. I have put my collection of inkwells, and one is identical to Qumran. We don't know how many inkwells were found in Qumran. We cannot say books are written. No scrolls were found in Qumran. That's a false statement. How do you know that? I work with the Bedouin. Let me tell you where we found scrolls. They found them in the ruin. They claim they did. Either they're lying or they're telling the truth. Another option, share with me. Why would they steal a scroll? We hired him for $1 a day. Put a little scroll, you know, in your sock or in your underwear because they had the long garments. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. You have it in your language. The Bedouins say, look, I found it, it's mine. I am a father. I have to put food on the table. It's mine. So I have reason to think these Arabs that now are not around, but for 20 years I would sit with them and drink chai. 2 weeks you don't hear anything, then you hear something. In this scriptorium I found many scroll fragments. Now I can't publish that, but I can share it with you, and you can think, you know, that's possible. You know, the Ta'amur of Bedouin, how they live in Bethlehem. We had, BBC was doing big movies, so there I go, you know. We did one on Raiders of the Lost Scroll. Well, you know where that came from. And I talked to a man who claimed he was Muhammad Adib. He found the scrolls. But it gets very interesting. This is where scrolls were copied. This is where they were preserved. It was an academic community. It was a community that had only one purpose, that is to work with God and with the powers that are good against the powers of evil. The more you saw evil in the world, you realized you had to even be more powerful. But you realized God was fighting with you. Now, a lot of things I'm saying, you say, gee, I remember that in Revelation. Gee, I remember that in Paul. Gee, I remember Jesus saying, I saw Satan fall from heaven, only in Luke. So, you know, it has ramifications. Often we work with questions. Could this be? Could John the Baptist have left the community and decided that he could no longer be a Qumran? I've written so much on that, and why the Israelis think I'm right is very simple. There are 5 similarities. Only John the Baptist and the community turned to Isaiah. Only they turned to Isaiah 40. Only they turned to Isaiah 40 verse 3. It's getting very limited because most of the people at that time are working with Halakot, Leviticus, and things like that. Not with the prophets. It's a prophetic movement. So you've got a very small group. All right? They all interpret it the same way. A voice is calling. Jesus doesn't interpret it that way. He breaks with his teacher, which is another wonderful subject, but that's maybe if you take my course at Princeton. Uh, so you have, first of all, the same interpretation of the same verse. Secondly, you have the same locale. You have the same emphasis upon water. When I was here with DeVoe, and none of this existed, we didn't know about mikvaot, and we didn't know about stone vessels. Now we're finding that the excavation found stone vessels. That's John 2. For the Jewish rites of purification, stone vessels. When you're in Jerusalem, study the stone vessels. When you go to the Israel Museum, probably it's closed, look at the stone vessels. The stone, only stone and metal and glass are non-impermeable. You want to be holy. You don't want to contaminate. And if someone is unholy, and all kinds of reasons why someone would be, it permeates the liquid or whatever is inside. We have mikvaot here, so another connection. Tremendous emphasis upon water ties up with John the Baptist. You have the tremendous emphasis on eschatology. You have the tremendous anger. Even now, the axe is laid to the root of the tree. Be wary. The Messiah is coming. Judgment, time of judgment. But all you end up with all of that is, yeah, it looks interesting and intriguing. So I decided to explore. Guess what I found? I find the man eats locusts and wild honey. Weird. Here, you know the story of Jesus, and a young man comes and he's got 5 little loaves and 2 fishes, and he shares it. People are constantly coming to him. They have food. By the way, that's pickled fish, not a fish, because people wouldn't let the boys sit near them. Okay? And that's at Migdal, where they're making that kind of fish. So he doesn't accept the fish. He has food. He won't accept it. Why wouldn't he accept it? And I have been here, and you see the wild locusts, and we catch them, and I still have not eaten them. So.
Hey Jim, you want to allow them to have some questions,
and then we go. And then the final thing is the clothing, and then we go.
Yeah, and I want you to take us around.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just watching the clock. Make sure.
Well, it's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll be out of here before 10:40. I mean, on the bus. Yeah. And the clothing, he wears animal skins. That suggests that he didn't accept anything from anybody. And if you make a vow during the 2 years, it says you will not accept anything from anybody because you're a holy community. So these 2 things, I think, anchor it, that he almost became a full Qumranite, but didn't make it. And then the question is why? And it's because of the yearly renewal. When you come in, curses on those, may they go to hell, all those who don't believe in God. You'd say amen and amen, right? Cursed on all those who do not do the will of God who's in heaven. You would say, yes, curses. Cursed are all those who are not sons of light, may they boil in hell forever. John the Baptist had Zechariah in the temple. He couldn't say that. Honor your father and mother. So the moment he couldn't say that, he either has to be thrown out or leave. So that's the key for me. Now go with me. We're going to see some things. Now your questions.